Welcome to the Rogan Joe Show. Today I am not joined by a National Master John MacArthur. This is a solo run today. So the chess news that we have today is Magnus Carlsen has a problem with Hikaru Nakamura qualifying for the candidates cycle in the way that he has. A young 16-year-old beats reigning world champion Gukesh in classics. Why does it matter? And other chess news such as Israeli players forced to withdraw from European tournament in Spain, and Divya Deshmukh also pushes Gukesh out of the top 10. Also, personal news on chess and its preparation. I am playing in a big FIDE rated event on the 27th of September. I hope to record it, or at least some of it, and put that up as like a YouTube video. But essentially, this is the South Island Championships for New Zealand, and there will be something like 70-something players with at least 14, I think, masters, as a conservative sort of guess. So we'll go back to our thing. Essentially speaking, after 5 of the 11th round in the $625,000 Grand Swiss at Samarkand on the ancient Silk Road, Iran's Pagram Magashulu is the sole leader with 4.5 out of 5. The event is a major step to the 2026 World Championship, qualifying 2 of the 8 candidates to challenge India's Gukesh for his global crown. The absolute show steer on the 5th round, however, was the USA's Abhimanyu Mishra. The 16-year-old who lives with his parents and his sister in Englishtown, New Jersey, became a world record holder for the second time in his brief chess career on Monday, when he became the youngest player to defeat a reigning world champion in a competitive classical game. Mishra's stellar achievement of defeating a world champion Gukesh at 16 years old and 7 months surpassed the previous record held by the famous fucking legend Gata Kamsky. Now, Gata Kamsky streams on Twitch, and he's one of the better streamers for his thing. He's a very, very chill man nowadays. Also of the US, who won against Garry Kasparov in Dortmund in 1992, aged 17 years and 10 months. Okay. During his career at age 12, Mishra became the youngest ever grandmaster after his father, Herman, took him to Budapest for several months in a successful bid to break the title. Other such people do this. Was a former world championship challenger who challenged Magnus for the world champion. I forget his name exactly. It's the Russian, our dear Russian fan. I don't know why that name isn't coming to me. But anyway. So, in other news, Magnus Carlsen, it's shameless, but Magnus Carlsen, covered by the Indian Express, which is something that I'm very, very fortunate to have in this world, is the Indian Press. Indian Press are great at covering chess news stories, for which I'm very grateful. It's shameless, but Magnus Carlsen on Hikaru Nakamura's attempt to qualify for the candidates. Magnus Carlsen has praised the way Hikaru Nakamura is trying to qualify for the FIDE candidates tournament by playing in events with weaker opponent. Carlsen called Nakamura's method shameless, but also probably the right thing to do. So essentially speaking, people are having a slight amount of trouble with rectifying how FIDE's rules allow Hikaru Nakamura to simply play any FIDE-rated games to qualify. So essentially they need a specific amount of games, which I think is something like 40, and so something around about the range of 40 rated FIDE games. So these can be played anywhere. And so what Hikaru has done is he's decided to go to places like the Louisiana State Championship and the Iowa State Championship, which essentially his hardest opponents tend to be like FIDE masters. His toughest rival, as noted by chess.com, was 2344 rated FIDE master Nicholas Mutter. Now, Nicholas is actually a very good player. I believe, I could be wrong, that he might have played for an Olympic team for another country at some point, or that might have been another FIDE master. I forget exactly. But there we go. So he won the title. He won this time with a 5 out of 5 score. So this is controversial because people believe that Hikaru was trying to get to be the highest rated player by essentially beating up on lower rated players while getting the minimum rating, getting a minimum rating boost that happens, which I think is 0.8, no matter the rating difference between the people. So it's very, very interesting. Of course, Levi Rosman has decided that, not decided. He's somewhat defended Hikaru here by saying basically hate the player. No, sorry, hate the game, don't hate the player. And I kind of disagree with that a little bit. I can do both. But no, this is, if FIDE allows this, then it is simple. I mean, it is important to note that Hikaru is not the first person to do this. There were accusations that Fairuja did similar things, and I think the last candidate cycle where he simply played against people he knew had very little chance against him. But it's very, very true that this is just part of the game, I think. And unless FIDE is going to do something about it, there's not much you can complain about. Okay. So next on, ladies and gentlemen, we have got the quick hits and news roundup. Well, Carlsen wins title Tuesday over Hikaru Nakamura, which is very, very good. The Take podcast and channel on YouTube is amazing. The production quality is great. I love it. And it also goes to my personal point of view that Magnus Carlsen is actually a better streamer than Hikaru, in my opinion. Hikaru, I don't think is a natural streamer. Magnus, I really like Matt. I just like Magnus streaming. He's got a very good sense of humor. He's got a very awkward sense of humor, but he's got a sense of humor nonetheless, and I like to see it. Yeah. Okay, so the US Championship 2025 field is being announced. Oh, and has been announced. I don't know exactly who that is, but it should be streamed. It should be the US chess will probably have a good stream that I'll watch at some point. Israeli players withdraw from a Spanish tournament controversy. Now this has been big on most of the mainstream news related to chess. Not so much chess news itself, but we will. Okay, so according to Yahoo News, this is not the article that I've looked at before. But 7 Israeli chess players have withdrawn from a tournament in Spain after being told they were not allowed to compete under their national flag. The Siesto Chess Club in the Basque County, I don't know, country, which organizes the event, said they had made it their goal to ensure that Israelis did not take part in the tournament. I'm not sure. The goal is the only thing in quotation marks. So if I'm being honest, I have some problems with this reporting. Miguel Angel Olamo, the president of the club, said one after another they kept pulling out, and finally the last one this very morning decided not to come. Mr. Olmo said they were forced to open the tournament to all players, but had made it clear to the Israeli players that they were not welcome, which is a very interesting take to make at all, generally. You would think that they would have the slightest thought to make it sound like it wasn't their intention to make them feel unwelcome. But this man here, he's standing on what he believes is his business, which is admirable in that small sin. In a statement, the club said, "We respect the International Federation regulations for open tournaments, but we also have convictions. We have worked to find a peaceful solutions, informing the players and the public, and we believe we have achieved our goal." I don't think he's achieved a goal that's worthy, though, however. It is my opinion that if you are to be sponsored and you do events through FIDE, that you should not be able to do this. Now, some of people in the audience might be thinking, but Rogan, is that not a violation of freedom of speech? or some concept of freedom of speech, freedom of expression. Not so much, I would think. The club is a private institution. It is true. And now the private institution can represent the views of private individuals. But it is important to note that they are organizing the tournament with the backing and legitimacy, the rule set, and the regulations of the FIDE as FIDE as an institution. Now, it's and it's also to note that I'm almost sure in Spain they don't have quite the same. They don't have an American attitude towards freedom of speech. As in, it's very, very, very likely that what they're doing is just downright illegal. Okay. The International Chess Federation said that they'd not been consulted on the matter and said it had no prior knowledge of this decision, which is it's a very striking statement. So I find it very shocking, to be honest, that a chess organization would be so blatant in their goals. My first instinct would be to say that this club has some very interesting people, have some very deeply entrenched and powerful ideas that maybe shouldn't represent the club as a whole, or maybe even don't. FIDE strongly condemns any form of discrimination, including the basis of nationality and flag, it said in a statement. Now, it is important to note, if anybody's in a little bit of a tiz about, like, if anybody, from my point of view, if anybody thinks that this is vaguely okay, then we should think about it as we should switch places here. What if it wasn't Israel? Would you have a problem? If so, I think we need to priorities possibly. So it is my opinion that this chess club is completely in the wrong here. I mean, you cannot organize international events as with the backing and legitimacy of FIDE while doing this. I'd be absolutely okay with them to organize their own events with their own money, with their own backing, with their own legitimacy, with their own bits of everything, and them have this policy. That would be more okay to me than what they're doing here. Okay. It comes against the backdrop of a deepening row between Israel and Spain after the Israeli prime minister accused the Spanish counterpart of making blatant genocidal threats. Okay. Which is very, very interesting, that it would spill over into the world of chess. My thoughts are simply what I've stated before, is that FIDE needs to hold these people accountable for essentially making a tournament or international event so uninviting that their goal of kicking them out has succeeded. Because I think it's very, very clear from all the statements that it was their goal to make it uninviting to Israeli players. It was their stated goal, and I don't think you can call it a success if your stated goal was exclusion and you achieved your stated goal. I think FIDE needs to step up here and make somewhat of an example. Political statements, I do not think, deserve much of a table in the chess world. They deserve the same level of disdain as you would for any other sport. If someone tried to make your sport political, by means of their own ideology, then I think we should view it the exact same way in the chess world when clubs decide to be exclusionary on the basis of their beliefs. But there we go. That's just my opinion, for instance. But yeah. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, personal note on what I've been doing chess-wise and what I've been doing to improve. I have got a lovely chess tournament on the 27th that I will be playing. I hope to put something on YouTube about it, some of the games. Very, very strong field of players, at least 10 masters so far, ranging from women candidate masters to FIDE masters. You might even get an international master. before it's through. I don't expect to win anything, but I do expect to do better than my rating suggests. Right about now, I'm about 1570 or something like that in the NZCF. I hope to play stronger than that, obviously. I have not played a lot of over the board over the last year and a half, and I've gotten a lot better. So it's my hope that if I prepare a little bit better, if I do a lot more puzzles, if I keep fresh and frosty, sleep when I should, then I can play a lot better. So I'll keep you with updates there about my training and stuff like that. It's one small step on the road to hopefully one day becoming a candidate master or some such title there. So I'm going to thank you all for being here and listening to what I have to say. I'm sorry if it's a bit jarring not having John MacArthur, and I apologize for that. But I will see you next time I see you. I just thought we needed to get a podcast out because it's very, very hard to make John and I's schedule match up. So have a great day and God bless.